was 31 years ago, almost to the day, that I first stepped into this pulpit at the invitation of your Minister Emeritus, John Burton Wolfe, God bless him. Without what I saw here that Sunday, I never would have gone on to become the minister in Dallas. John became one of my fathers in God. Preached at my installation when I went on to New York City. Gave me the encouragement to run for president of our association, which is the office I held when I first met Marlon, as he told you. I wonder if he's ever really told you the story of how we met, though. He was in his mid-20s. We met in Eastern Europe, in the real heartland of Unitarians over there, where back in 1579, Francis David first said, "We need not think alike to love alike." We were at a conference on human rights and religion. "How'd you get here?" I asked this young man. "I bicycled." "From where?" "From Japan." "Huh?" "Oh, I took some boats and some trains." "But what route?" "Well, I visited the Unitarian Universalists in the Philippines, and then in India, and then Russia, and Poland, and Prague, and Budapest." "You did what?" "Well, I grew up Unitarian Universalist, and I wanted to meet them before I start training for the ministry." The next summer, I got this guy to jump on a bicycle again and go from Boston to Spokane, where we were having our General Assembly. Spokes to Spokane, we called it. And to stop at college campuses along the way, describing to young adults especially our global and inclusive faith, well, at least as it ought to be and could be. And oh, did I feel good this February when he went and represented us all off there in Kampala, Uganda, bearing witness to our gospel of inclusion, to say that we also need not love alike to deserve human rights. Well, this weekend I'm in Tulsa because of a daughter of this church. What a Father's Day weekend. Whose wedding took place in this sanctuary last night, Marlon presiding. Molly Hausch, well now Molly Hausch Gordon as of last night, who is the intern minister with me at the old First Parish in Needham, Massachusetts. Gathered, I'll have you know, in 1711. Molly and I get to preach in the kind of New England meeting house on which this space was modeled, but older. Still the clear glass windows, a Paul Revere bell up in our steeple that rings out at the beginning and at the end of every service. Up on the chancel, nothing but an old pine table, looks like a farmer made it, and I'm sure he did. That was the communion table starting in 1720. And underneath it, a walnut box that the old Puritans kept the Bible in because it had leather straps the deacons could grab if the fire broke out in the meeting house and they needed to save their most prized possession. It did break out in 1773. Our present building, which is a running metaphor through my new book, dates to 1836. But its framing timbers are these huge pieces of oak about a foot square and 40 feet long that go back to the 1774 building. To me, those old timbers, which have held the place together all these centuries, are the very heartwood and framework of our faith. They're the gift to the free church tradition that goes back to those who first came to this land seeking religious freedom and who knew that the wisest question in religion is not the creedal one, what do we all believe alike? It is the deeper question of what hopes do we share. Belief is many things, said one of our greatest ministers, A. Powell Davies. So is disbelief. But for us, religion is what happens to us when we open our minds to a greater truth, our hearts to a deeper compassion, and our conscience to the demands of justice. It is what happens to us when we pick up from broken hopes. The hope that cannot die, and the vision that sees even beyond the horizon of our own mortality. So for us, our forebears, the better question was the covenantal question. What are the spiritual hopes that bring us together in the first place? And how shall we promise to treat one another, to walk together as we live those hopes into human reality? And not just for ourselves, but for our children and our children's children, and for the future of life on this fragile, beautiful planet, this garden of creation that was given us to tend and keep.